micro tasks that will actually give them some feedback. And I guess that's really what we do with formative tasks, but to make sure that those are actually taken seriously and can be done in a way that actually gives meaningful feedback to the students so that they can then use that feedback into their major tasks, which are actually the consequential tasks, the ones that are actually going to have consequences in terms of their progression or in terms of their employment.
Yes, one of the participants talked about doing a low-stakes assessment task at the beginning, which wasn't quite so daunting for students because there wasn't so much at stake, but it gave them the chance to get used to the type of activity and using that type of technology. So perhaps that's the sort of strategy to take.
And also, I think there is a cumulative dimension to this, which we are barely tapping into in this project. But if you are preparing your first-year undergraduate students with some foundation skills and concepts to go ahead with, and then hopefully over years 2, 3, and beyond in their coursework, they might be given more responsibility and be extended to do more interesting and demanding things rather than being taught the basics of blogging over and over again from one subject to another, from one year to another. Anyone else want to join in the conversation at this stage? Okay, well, at this stage in the presentation, I'd just like to come back to that idea of collegiality. What we really need to do is to make sure that people who are interested in the ideas of assessment and who are practitioners of this form of assessment get together, and we acknowledge the contributions of the advisory group who gave so much to the National Roundtable, of the project reference group, which involves staff of the 3 lead universities in disseminating and communicating throughout those 3 universities in particular, in the project field testing group, which is doing that work of thinking about their own assignments in their own subject teaching this semester in these 5 universities, and of course acknowledging ALTC for its support for this project. Once again, even though the webinar is drawing to a close, we hope that some of the findings and ideas that we've raised today may tantalize you, so that you go to our project website, which is in the EDNA Group Moodle that you see there. There's scope for discussion and other forms of input there, as well as downloading the documents that we've produced so far in the project. Jenny is maintaining a great blog documenting some of the milestones as we go through the project that you can find at Blogspot. I've recently set up an assessment 2.0 tag at Sites You Like to share some of the key bookmarks of published papers, conference proceedings, and blog entries where people are talking in particular about Assessment 2.0 or their own approach to it. And we plan to offer workshops for participants at a number of conferences over the next 6 to 9 months. So we might see some of you there. And of course, it's always good practice to collect a bit of feedback at the end of a session like this. So we'd really like to invite you to go to our Loomerang survey and tell us what you thought about today's webinar. I'd like to once again thank Jeff and all the team there. Matthew's been a stalwart in helping us get going with today's webinar. And thanks to Jenny for her great partnership in taking this project forward, as well as to all the other team members in the project who aren't able to be here today, but who've been really bringing it all together. So thanks all for your participation. I really value the comments that you've given throughout and hope to hear from all of you again in other forums at other times.
Okay, Kathleen and Jenny, I just want to say thank you very much for presenting. That was really interesting, and there's a lot of good resources that we have there. It was really great to see how the project's been coming along, and of course we're really looking forward to when it's all put together as well for the collated output from this. I think it's also generated a lot of interesting issues, a lot of interesting questions, and certainly I think any of the participants, if they'd like to get in touch with Kathleen and Jenny with any examples as well, because I'm sure that they would be certainly looking for that. Now, we were going to do some feedback here, but you've got your site up there with the URL there, so I might actually just leave it, if that's okay, for people to go to your site and fill in the survey there, if that's okay, because we don't want people to have to do 2 surveys. And then what we'll do is share the survey results from that. So the URL is up there, so if people wouldn't mind filling in that survey so that we can get some feedback from everyone. So thanks very much, everyone. Matthew, do you want to just put up the details for the next webinar series? Thank you. I sprung that one on him, so we're doing it live.
And thanks, Jeff. I would like to reiterate your point that we'd very much like to collect other examples of assignments that people have tried that work. We'd welcome anyone's contributions through the Edna group site.
Okay, thanks for that. And also, just to remind people that we're really happy to receive any suggestions about people you think would like to present in the webinar series. So if you've got some colleagues who would like to share some of their experiences, the series is about assessment, so we would really welcome any suggestions on that. We can put on more webinars, so that's not a problem. And so thank you very much, everyone, for attending.
This has been a Transforming Assessment presentation, hosted by our project leader, Professor Jeffrey Crisp, team member Dr. Matthew Hillier, and team member Mr. Shamim Jorda. This Transforming Assessment presentation has been sponsored by the Centre for Learning and Professional Development at the University of Adelaide, Australia, the Australian Learning and Teaching Council,